back when I was 20, during the summer before my senior year of college. I managed to land an internship at a financial services firm downtown. It wasn't anything glamorous. Mostly spreadsheets, data entry, and sitting in front of a computer screen for hours every day. But it paid decently, and more importantly, it looked great on a resume. There were 8 interns in total, working in the same open office section. All of us were placed in a row of cubicles that were just tall enough to give the illusion of privacy, but short enough that everyone could still see the tops of each other's heads. You could hear everything: keyboards clicking, quiet conversations, phones ringing, chairs rolling across the floor. Out of the group, 5 of the interns were people I actually liked. They were relaxed, normal college students who understood that the internship wasn't the most important thing in the world. Another intern named Eric was the complete opposite. Eric treated the internship like it was life or death, barely spoke to anyone, and typed on his keyboard like he was trying to break it. But the last intern, Alex was different. When I first met him, he seemed normal enough. Maybe a little socially awkward, but honestly, that wasn't unusual. A lot of interns are awkward during their first week. He was tall, very thin, pale, with messy dark hair that always looked slightly greasy. He didn't really fit the polished finance intern look, but that wasn't what made me uncomfortable. It was the way he behaved around me. At first, it was subtle. During the day, he would randomly appear beside my cubicle. Because the cubicle walls were low, whenever he leaned over them, his head would slowly rise above the divider. The first time it happened, it genuinely startled me. From that angle, he looked absurdly tall, like some 7-foot figure slowly appearing over the wall. He would tilt his head slightly, smile this strange, frozen smile, and start speaking in this weird, forced, creepy voice. Working hard or hardly working, Ronnie. He would drag the words out slowly, like he was performing some kind of character. Then he would just stand there, holding that same smile, for far too long. At first I laughed awkwardly, pretending I thought it was funny, but inside I remember thinking, that's a strange thing to do in a professional office. The first few times, I assumed he was just trying too hard to be quirky. Some people act weird during internships because they want attention, so I ignored it. But then it kept happening. Every single day, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times. His head would slowly rise above my cubicle wall again, that same stretched smile, that same unsettling voice. Sometimes he would say random phrases that made no sense, sometimes jokes that weren't funny, and sometimes he would just stare at me, talking slowly, almost whispering.
We need to talk now.
The other interns noticed it too, but they mostly laughed. They thought Alex was intentionally acting weird to lighten the mood. Some of them even assumed Alex and I had some kind of inside joke, but we didn't. I barely spoke to him, yet somehow I had become his audience. As the weeks passed, his visits got longer. Instead of quick comments, he would lean over my cubicle and stay there, watching me, talking slowly, sometimes barely saying anything, just staring. Eventually, it became uncomfortable enough that I started leaving my desk whenever I saw him approaching. Then, about 6 weeks into the internship, something happened that made things much worse. One evening, I was home eating dinner when my phone rang. The number on the screen was unfamiliar. Normally, I never answer unknown numbers, but I was expecting a delivery confirmation, so I picked it up. Hello. For several seconds, there was only silence. Then suddenly, I heard a voice I recognized instantly. Alex, using that same strange voice he used in the office. He said slowly, "The tide's coming in.
Ronnie, you need to listen.
Pull your boat out of the water." His voice got louder toward the end, almost like he was shouting a warning. Then he burst into loud, hysterical laughter. Before hanging up, my stomach dropped because I had never given Alex my phone number. Not once. I immediately texted the number back asking if it was him, but the message failed to send. When I searched the number online, it came up as a landline. That's when the situation stopped feeling funny. How did he get my number? Why was he calling me like that? That entire night, I couldn't stop replaying the sound of his laughter in my head. It didn't sound like someone joking around. It sounded like someone who genuinely enjoyed scaring people. The following Monday, when I arrived at the office, Alex wasn't there. His cubicle was empty. I didn't see him all morning. So I asked our supervisor, Martin, if Alex might have gotten my number through company records. Martin looked confused. He said interns didn't have access to employee contact information. Then he told me something else. Alex had already been fired. At the end of the previous week, apparently, he had ignored multiple warnings and barely done any work. When I told Martin about the strange phone call, some of the other interns overheard. A couple of them admitted they had always found Alex unsettling. Martin assured me Alex was gone and had no reason to ever come back. For the next week, nothing happened, no calls, no messages, no sign of Alex anywhere. Eventually, I convinced myself the whole thing was over. Until one early morning, around 5 o'clock, I woke up suddenly. The sky outside was still dark, with only faint gray light coming through the blinds. I thought I heard something outside. So I walked to the window and looked into my backyard, standing near the edge of the trees. Looking directly up at my window was a tall, thin figure. Even in the dim light, I recognized him instantly. Alex. For several seconds, I couldn't move. Then he slowly tilted his head back and called my name in that same strange, drawn-out voice. Then he started laughing. The exact same laugh I heard on the phone. Loud, hysterical, completely unhinged. I grabbed my phone and shouted through the window that I was calling the police and that he needed to get off my property immediately. He stood there for a moment longer, still smiling, then slowly turned and walked toward the trees, still laughing, until he disappeared into the darkness. I called the police, but by the time they arrived, he was gone, and they couldn't do much. Since he hadn't technically broken in or threatened me. The rest of the summer passed without another incident. I finished the internship, and on my final day, my boss offered me a permanent job after graduation. I accepted, but a small part of me always felt uneasy about ever returning to that office. Years later, I still think about that morning sometimes, standing at my window, watching him in the darkness, laughing, like the whole situation was some kind of private joke, a joke that only he understood.